संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Namaskar to everybody present. At the outset, we are extremely grateful to Sri Narendra Doshi ji and the Vivekananda Prabodhini Jana Seva Kendra, through which he has brought more than 175 different talks to all of you. The whole country, when is celebrating 75th anniversary of independence, he felt it is necessary to bring out various aspects of our Indian culture to everybody. He gave me a topic, Seva. We are all aware that we all do Seva. Each one in his own way is engaged in one way or the other in Seva, and therefore Seva is an integral part of each and everybody. When we ask anybody, he says, I am in service with government, in service with somebody else, somebody is service in school. Like that we find it. Is service and Seva the same? A little difference has to be made. Though Seva in English is called service, when it is said service, there is a feeling that one is getting paid for it. In Seva, there is no payment. It is a feeling. And this feeling is very, very important. All of you must be aware of the story of Rantideva. He was a great king, and his whole life was serving the others. And while serving people, Indradeva took test, and in the test, when Rantideva passed, Indradeva asked him that you asked for a boon. He said, Natvaham kamaye swargam, na rajyam na punarbhavam. I do not want kingdom. I do not want swarga. I do not want anything else. I only want to serve the people, to do seva to the people. Artanam arti nashanam. This is the highest approach that Indian culture has taken towards seva. And therefore, all of us also should look into what is seva as an attitude. Doing good to others, helping others, be of use to others is what is called seva. And all of us are well aware of it. In seva, two types of things we find. Mananiya Shri who is the founder of Vivekananda Kendra, had told its workers that there is Artha and Vipanna Seva. The whole society is full of Artha and Vipanna people. Artha Seva, where there are beggars of poverty. This poverty is of essential items, this poverty of various things. And there is Vipanna Seva, where beggars of affluence are there. There are n number of things with them, but still the attitude is of a beggar. You all must be knowing a sannyasi who was just going around. A king asked him that, come, I want to give you something. I want to give you something. He said, I don't need anything. But then the king said, no, I want to give you something. Please come. And then the sannyasi went to king's place. And then he said, wait, I just come. He went into his shrine and he was asking God, Gurupam Dehi, Jayam Dehi, Sho Dehi, all things you give me. And sannyasi, when he heard this, he just walked off. After his prayers, king came out and he saw sannyasi was no more there. He just went behind the sannyasi and he asked, why? I wanted to give you something. Sannyasi laughed and said, O king, you yourself are begging for something and you want to give me something? I have everything. It is not that I want anything. What is required is this attitude that we have everything, understanding that and working for it. However, when we go to the society, there are people who need elementary services, basic food, shelter, clothing is required. And such needs, when are fulfilled, that also is very important. All of us, to whatever extent possible, definitely undertake these services, these seva, and we do it. But then, is there something higher than that? Yes, there is something higher. It is a secular education, giving education to the people. Those whose elementary needs are fulfilled, they continue to remain dependent on the givers. But then, when you give education to them, skills to them, give them way to earn their own livelihood and to stand on their own legs, that education becomes much higher, that seva becomes much higher seva. But then again we find that with such education, secular education, skills, the person earns lot of things he has earned, lot of things he has, and then what happens? Then he becomes ahankari, kartaham iti manyate. This is what remains always uppermost in his mind. That I have done this. It is my efforts. It is my work that has brought everything. Secular education brings such ego also. And therefore, there is something higher than that also. And that is spiritual knowledge. Who am I? What for I have been born in this earth? Why am I born in this India? What is the work I am supposed to do? Understanding oneself. Who am I? And then working for that. That is what is the spiritual knowledge, which is also equally important or which is much higher. Once having attained that knowledge, then punaragamanaya cha. Then there is nothing to come back also. It is you go ahead walking towards the other end. And therefore, this spiritual knowledge, understanding oneself, I am the son of divinity, Amritasya Putraha, having understood that everybody can work in the best possible way. And therefore, such a seva is very much required. And therefore, in Artha Seva, we find there are elementary needs are taken care. To some extent, secular education also is taken care. But having fulfilled both these things, what is required is the spiritual education, spiritual knowledge, and there we find that there is necessity of that. That is how Vipanna, Vipada, the person who has fallen from understanding who he is, That is what is also required. Therefore, in the whole of the society we find there are people either arthats or vipannas. Both the type of people are there and working for them is necessary. When understanding this, we start doing work for them, for uplifting them, then the seva comes into our life. We find that all of us have been told umpteen times, seva is done only by the Christian organizations. Yes, it is not that they don't do it also, but there is behind each of seva, there is a conversion, a thinking that everybody has to get converted to Christianity. However, as far as Hindu organizations are concerned, they have this understanding that there are arthas and vipannas in the society and we have to work for them. For some organizations during 21-22, here are some figures which tells us how much great work Hindu organizations also are doing. I again request you that this is not the statistics of all organizations, but only of few organizations. Whole India, there are n number of organizations. Hindu organizations are working. Many do not report because they feel that why should we report about it? Ours is to work, ours is to uplift our people. They are our own and therefore working for them is required. Still, today's world, digital world is there. So therefore, some such statistics is just presented here. More than 3,26,000 centers are working. Full-time workers are more than 1.15 crores. Part-time workers are 3 lakhs and odd. More than 40 lakhs magazines and periodicals are getting circulated. Books which are in circulation are more than 27.91 crores. Other literatures, books published, magazines published, you find in every aspect. There are hospitals, there are schools, there are Anganwadis, there are Balwadis, there are Anandalayas. Everywhere so much of work is being done by the Hindu organizations. All of us should be aware that it has no more remained monopoly of Christian organizations, but Hindu organizations also have got into it. Swami Vivekananda gave a clarion call to all of us. Serve man, serve God. Shiva Bhave Jiva Seva. Swami Vivekananda, when was sitting with, as Narendranath sitting with Thakur Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, some of the Vaishnavas came and while talking to Vaishnavas, the Vaishnavas said that we are here to do daya unto the people. And when this word daya was uttered, immediately Thakur Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa went into trance, he went into samadhi. And in samadhi avastha only he just said, Jive daya, na, jive seva. Who are we to do daya unto the people? By saying daya, we are superior. We are having something greater than everybody, and all others are inferior. But it is God who pervades everywhere. We who have been benefited something, we are to work for others, and therefore it is the seva of others that is important. Swami Vivekananda as Narendranath, when listened to this, he said, I have got something great today. If I get chance, I shall work it out. And that is how Shiva Bhave Jiva Seva is the concept which Swami Vivekananda has taken and given to all of us. This feeling that it is God who is pervading everywhere. He alone resides in the heart of everybody. And therefore, understanding that if we have something extra, if we can help them, if we can make them feel better, work better. That is what is important. And therefore, such seva activities are very much required. The three types of gradation that we saw of elementary, secular, and spiritual services, these do not differ in quality, but they stand on different level. According to the levels of the people, what is the need of the people? Based on that, this gets served to the people. But really speaking, there is nothing higher or lower in seva. Every seva is important. The person who is hungry, he has to be given food first, not the spiritual education. Swami Vivekananda says, you cannot teach Vedanta to empty stomachs, and therefore that need also has to be taken care. So, those who are having primary needs, their primary needs have to be taken care about, but they have to be gradually upgraded, they have to be lifted up, and therefore the secular education also has to be given, and then they also have to be made to think about that how they can think about who am I, and that is how the spiritual education also will come into the lives of everybody. Therefore, this seva, which covers the entire field of human life, is very much seen by all of us. Do we do seva? That is what is very important. And if we are doing seva, with what attitude we do the seva, that also becomes important. And therefore, all of us need to take into account that one who does the seva, what is his point of view, or what should be his point of view? One offers seva just for one's own satisfaction. All of you must be knowing in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Maitreyi tells to or Yajnavalkya tells to Maitreyi, Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. It is for our own satisfaction, Swanta Sukhaya, that we find something, we find everything very dear to us. So this finding is very important. He says the husband sees her wife in his heart, and therefore he loves. The wife sees husband in her heart, and therefore she loves husband. Therefore, everybody sees that one himself or herself is present in the heart of everybody else, and therefore finding that when one starts working, that becomes very important. Seva is done for self satisfaction, and the first beneficiary is the person who offers seva and not the one who receives it. Therefore, we, each one of us, has to undertake that every day can we do some seva to the people. If that is what begins, that becomes very useful. Mananiya who has dealt on this seva, he tells in various ways that seva could be, but what is the point of view of the doer? Seva could be compassion for the people. There is, we feel pity, we feel daya for the people, and we start working. Okay, some people would need it, and that has to be given. So that also is important. A sense of pity, yes, that also makes one feel. Even a sense of kinship or fellow feeling or fame or brotherhood, that also will make somebody to do seva. That also is required, and that also should be done. But then, more beyond that also, the desire for popularity, name or fame, that also is there. Location is there. We find when we go to the temples, we go to various places, this slab has been donated by somebody, this fan is donated by somebody. You find everybody's name there. That name is very important. That is how also for that also people work. And then we find there is some ulterior motive. Today I am working because tomorrow when I may stand in the election, you all are supposed to vote. And with that ulterior motive, obliging the people takes place, and a service or seva is done with this future benefit in the mind. All these sevas would be needed, are being done, but are they purifying our mind? That has to be looked into. Yes, we can do this, but ultimately seva is for the purification of the mind. Samartha Ramdas every day used to go for begging alms. 3 times he will ask, Om Bhavati Bhikshandehi, and whatever will come, that he will take as Bhiksha. So, one day after worshipping Kalaram in Nashik, he just went out, and in the first house when he asked, Om Bhavati Bhikshandehi, nothing came. Second time he again asked, because his custom was 3 times it should be asked. Second time he asked, Om Bhavati Bhikshandehi, nothing came. Third time when he said from inside uh, a cloth, mopping cloth, that came and just it came on his chest. He just hold it, and then a thought came to him. Oh, what is this? Why such thing is happening? And then instead of going to further houses, he returned. He went to Godavari. He washed that cloth. Then he went to Kalaram temple. He made wicks of that, and the whole temple slowly was lit, was full of light. And he kept on praying, Oh Rama, this mother is having lot of difficulties. Please help her. Please remove the darkness. Please remove the problems that she is facing. The mother who has thrown that cloth, mopping cloth, she also was seeing what this man is going to do. And behind one of the pillar, when she saw that this man is Samath Ramdas is worshipping for her betterment. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. This prayer, he is practicing it. He has brought it into practice, and then her whole mind changes. She finds that there are people who are working selflessly, nishkama buddhi, and for the betterment of the world, and such seva is required, which brings antakarana shuddhi. That mother who has thrown that mopping cloth, her antakarana shuddhi also took place when she saw this man was working. That is one of the highest type of seva that is needed in the society. But then when we start thinking about it, that this seva which is there, in which it is the self which is there, in this self-interest is self-interest pertaining to body-mind complex only. Are we not to go beyond that? Is there that there has to be some expectation of return behind every seva? I think we need to go beyond that also. It is not to satisfy ego. It is not a barter. It is not a give and take. But it is to serve the society. It is to serve the people. It is to serve the have-nots. That is what is necessary. And when we have the concept in our mind that this God who has created this world is definitely a flawless world. God evolves everything. He has his own plan. We are just an instrument. Can we work as his instruments? Mananiya tells us that this Upakarana Bhava, That is what is necessary. Tava eva karyartham iha upajataha. That is what Mananiya Eknathji tells to all the workers, that we are born to do God's work, and therefore we should do work with all sincerity, with all cleaning our own equipment and do the work. And therefore the best and noblest service which is required is, or which can be done, is only with a total surrender in line with the plan of God. If we understand the behind each and everything there is a plan of God, and with that surrender if we do our work, that becomes very very important. And therefore the self changes from self interest to self realization. The small s becomes a capital S, and this self realization which is which always exists even in body mind is removed, and such seva becomes the noblest, where the body mind concept has been removed and is replaced with the self realization concept. And therefore that concept, with that concept we need to do the seva. Mananiya Eknathji therefore keeps before us the ideal social order as the supreme most service. It is the uh, social order which has to take care, where the people who are having the basic necessities, those have to be taken care. There is no doubt about it. But it is not to stop with that. One has to go beyond that also. And therefore this, the feeling of ekatmata, the feeling of oneness, that is very much required. If that is taken into account, where it is the oneness which is the important aspect of our whole culture, where everything is interdependent, interrelated, interconnected. And once that is understood, my work becomes very very important, my work becomes very much necessary. And therefore such ekatmata, such oneness, that is required. Bhagavad Gita very beautifully tells us, देवान् भावयतानेन ते देवा भावयन्तु वः परस्परं भावयन्तः श्रेय परमवाप्स्यत. Parasparam bhavayantah, this corporate helping, corporate feeling, that is what is required. Once that sort of feeling comes, then might is right will go, survival of the fittest will go, and the whole world which is in the crisis because of the survival of the fittest or might is right, that will get replaced with supplementary and complementary efforts of each and everybody. Shreya Paramavapsyatam. Everybody has to have not the Preya but the Shreya in their own life. And therefore, but if at all there is a competition, that competition is not with others, but it is competition with oneself. Swaspardha, which is nothing but continuous growth. And such growth, when we find, that brings the total change in the life. Yesterday's me and tomorrow's me. There has to be qualitative change, qualitative growth. Such qualitative growth will bring total change into the very healing, very total growth in the human being, and such man making aspect will take place. And then it is the sarthaka jivan, it is the fulfilled life, it is the purposeful life, that is what will take place. Ideal social order which India had, which India kept on thinking about it, has to be brought back into the society. That is what is the need of the hour. That is the supreme most service. Such a sort of atmosphere where everybody feels that dharma, artha, kama, moksha, these have to become part of life, part of the life of everybody. It is not the artha and kama which is ruling today the world. Yes, artha is required, but we shall have it with dharma at its base, and then we will have all desires. Kama will be there, desires will be there, but all desires will end in moksha, that we want to liberate ourselves. And such liberation, such a sarthak life, Such a fulfilled life, such purposeful life is the need of the world. We are going after successful life, but what is required is the fulfilled life. All our rishis had fulfilled life. They worked for the society. They made this Bharat Mata Jagat Guru. We all again have to make Bharat Mata Jagat Guru, and therefore Mananiya Eknathji, who has brought this concept, has given this very higher dimension to seva. That is what is very important. And therefore, Mananiya Eknathji also says, to do service, we do not have a pray, we do not have to pray for poverty around, or famines, floods, or earthquakes, awakening man to his great potential to realize the divine within, and thus to channelize that awakened power for national reconstruction, for well-being of humanity, is a spiritually oriented service. Vivekananda Kendra is a spiritually oriented service mission which is continuously working with keeping aim at ideal social order, and for that the way is Shiva Bhave Jiva Seva, serve man, serve God. That is what is Vivekananda Kendra has taken up. Eknathji always insisted that our inspiration to work should be perennial. He pointed out that those who worked for the freedom of our country lost all enthusiasm and cheer to work for nation once we became independent. Therefore, we must have a perennial source of inspiration. It is necessary that we work to eliminate anti-national forces, to organize our society, to work to make India great, and for that the perennial source of inspiration, that is to manifest the divinity in our own lives, and our own life is the perennial source. For that we need to do the work. Therefore the seva concept is to be understood from this perspective. We are sure that with uh, these concepts in our mind, we will definitely take up this work in our day-to-day lives and make this country a great country, make this country the Jagat Guru Bharat as envisioned by Swami Vivekananda, and as has been taken as a mission by Eknathji has given, Mananiya Eknathji has given this mission to all the workers of Vivekananda Kendra. Let us work for it. That is our prayer to all of you. Once again, we thank Sri Narendra Joshi ji and the Vivekananda Prabodhini Jana Seva Kendra, and let the work that is being done by him and all others continue, and make Bharat Mata Jagat Guru is our prayer. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramyaah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Pranam.